Hello and welcome back to Versus Live. I'm Ross Merriam.
I'm Corey Baumeister.
We got Dan in the booth. Say hi, Dan.
Hey, everybody.
And as always, we are brought to you by Star City Games and Carnox Chairs. If you want to check out one of these, maybe get one for yourself, go to carnox.com/SCG and check them out because they are sweet. We are fresh off of a weekend of tournaments. You have come back from Barcelona, your sojourn. How was it?
It was awesome. You know, I ate some of the best Spanish food I've ever had in my entire life.
Yeah. You didn't melt?
I didn't melt. Pretty close, though.
Yes.
So I
just
got a haircut yesterday because I was basically wearing a helmet, you know, with my afro, and it was a mistake to not cut it before then.
Yeah, mistakes are made. You got your misplays out before the tournament, though. Finished a solid 11-5.
Yeah, 11-5.
Very good record at a Mythic Championships, and so you will at least be going to the next one, which is in Richmond.
Yeah. So I get to drive to it.
Yeah,
I've never had a close pro tour. Like this is gonna be a treat.
I've had a couple there. Nice.
Yeah.
And I am coming off of the SCG Open in Columbus, where I did not do well, but I also ate really well because North Market is amazing.
Okay, well, that's still a win.
Yes.
You didn't do well? Did you guys just day two?
I won very few matches of Magic that weekend.
Okay.
But it happens. There's always 3 weeks. We got another one coming up in Richmond. A couple week break, which is nice. During that break, we're going to start by analyzing some Modern. And by Modern, I mean Hogaak.
Yeah. Testing out the boogeyman to see. It seems like we got 3 matchups that should have favorable matchups against Hogaak. I don't know if I'm really a believer because I played this deck for 2 weeks and it is obscenely powerful. And I think our list was really good for the MC, so I'm excited to play these.
Yeah, it seems like, both tournaments were well represented by Hogaak. It was the most played deck in each one by a wide margin. Generally the most successful deck in the room, despite the fact that everybody seemed to come prepared with hate. There are a lot of Leyline of the Voids, most played card at the MC, several copies in the main deck. I know you main decked some.
And our team main deck 3.
And the deck still performed really, really well. So it shows you how strong it is and resilient to hate. But it did not come away with a single trophy.
No, it didn't. But you know what did? Tron twice. And not even Tron with the great creator. I thought that was pretty weird. I always thought that was kind of like the next evolution of Tron, but it seems like in a world of Hogaak, Wormcoil Engine is just one of the most important creatures you can have. Like the turn 3 Karn just usually isn't enough. And we noticed like when Red Black Hollow one was running around that it was like 4 Wormcoils were the standard because that was just one of the best cards.
Same against Dredge.
Exactly. And now, it's basically the same deck. It's a little supercharged. Its power level is a little bit over 9,000, but it's a similar thing, and it makes sense that these type of Tron decks did so well.
Yeah, very similar deck. Your hollow ones are just stacked on top of each other in a trench coat with trample.
Yeah, God, that is a very good analogy, actually.
And you always have it on turn 2. So
that's all hollow one is. It's just 2, or that's all Hogaak is 2 hollow ones. Makes sense.
So I agree. Wormcoil seemed very good. Tron did well. We'll be bringing that one to you later in the day. But we're going to start out with a little Hardened Scales.
Yes.
This is the deck that finished 2nd place in the MC. Another deck that can just sort of go over the top of what the Hogaak deck is doing and take advantage of the fact that there's very little interaction, especially in terms of creatures. You got some lightning axes, got some things in the sideboard, but if you don't interact early against the Hardened Scales deck and they have a powerful draw, you're dead on turn 3, maybe turn 4.
Yeah, and one thing that's like insanely hard for the Hogaak deck to deal with when it comes to that is just flying. Flying is like very hard to stop. So Inkmoth Nexus can usually just have free reign to run away with the game. And even Lightning Axe is only 5 damage. I mean, if you have a Hardened Scale draw with even like 2 artifacts and a Ravager, I'm not going to be able to Lightning Axe anything. It's going to look embarrassing. So
so definitely, this is a deck that Hogaak is a deck that is trying to do something really powerful. And the deck is generally just dedicated to its own engine. So you beat that deck by taking advantage of the fact that it's ignoring what you're doing, trying to go over the top of it. Tron is doing that a little bit more of an interactive way. Hardened Scales is really just going for the throat.
Yep. And I mean, this list has a little bit extra tools for Hardened Scales for game 1 in the form of Leyline's main. They do have text there. They shut down modular, which is very important at those explosive kill you turns.
And Hangerback Walker.
But yeah, game 1 is still going to be tough. I would think I get a lot more advantage post-board, which is kind of weird because Hogaak almost always does worse post-board. But Force of Vigor, I think, is just going to be
Yeah, it's interesting playing the graveyard decks against these artifact decks. I did it for a long time playing Dredge against Affinity.
Yep.
And they're bringing in their hate, and it's usually additional artifacts. And you want to bring in answers to hate, and usually that makes your deck worse.
Yeah.
But against the artifact decks, you're just bringing in cards that are naturally good.
Yeah.
Normally your hate card sits dead in your hand until they play their Rest in Peace, their Leyline, their Grafdigger's Cage. In this matchup, if I don't have a hate card, you still get to kill that Hardened Scales, either Nature's Claim or Force of Vigor. You get to kill that Inkmoth Nexus that's about to kill you.
Yeah.
So the fact that your anti-hate cards are also just very effective cards in the matchup makes it really easy to sideboard against the artifact decks with graveyard decks. So we will see a little bit of a reverse trend in there where I think the post-board games get better for you.
Yeah, it's just like all my destroy target artifact hate cards are now split cards that kill creatures as well. So that seems good to me. Plus Force is, the new addition of Force here is insane because most of the time it's just, okay, I know you're going to bring in artifact hate because you're not playing white. You can play ley lines if you're feeling ambitious, which I'm sure for this MC it was correct to just throw ley lines in every deck. But now I can kill enchantments as well with Force, which is huge. So
killing Hardened Scales, killing Leyline if I have it. This list only has Grafdigger's Cage, but if I did have that, that's really important. And especially in this matchup where I could play turn 0 Leyline into a Hardened Scales, and then you just blow up both of them for 0 mana.
Oh, yeah.
You're actually ahead on tempo there because I paid 1 mana for my 2 cards.
Exactly, and I get to untap and start filling my graveyard on turn 1. Force did some dirty things for me at this MC. It's a phenomenal card.
Well, let's get to it and see if it does some dirty things today.
All right.
I've got the marbles.
Thank God you have them.
Yeah,
though.
You got a shot at them. I took them from Todd.
Yeah.
So, I was able to keep them from you with a tight match of mono blue aggro against Jund Dinosaurs.
You called that tight? Or it wasn't Dinosaurs. I was playing Bant, remember?
We played a lot of things.
Yeah, the final one I was playing Bant, Ramp, and you were playing Mono Blue, and you beat me pretty badly. True. Yeah. We just have to make sure that Todd does not go to California with the marbles. That would be a travesty here. So.
Agreed.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, we'll have to jump him for him.
Any questions over there to kick us off, Dan?
All right, so we got a couple. First off, we have actually Todd in chat.
All right.
So since Todd is in chat, I think we need to bring this up before we go any further, since we're talking so much about Hogaak. We all talked before we went on the air, and I know you were talking about this with your teammates, Corey, but I need to bring this up with Todd. Todd, if you remember back on Thursday, or if you guys have watched this past Monday when we aired the replays on our YouTube channel, I made the line of day 2 conversion rate for Hogaak at 17.5%, and Todd goes, nah, that's not going to happen. Format's too diverse. And Ross, what was that number that Frank posted?
It's a little over 21%, I think. 21.4, 0.6.
4.7%. Regardless,
that's how many decks. That's how many Hogaak decks were on day 1.
Yeah, that's not even day 2.
No,
yeah,
day 2 was still above.
Day 2 was higher than was.
Day 2 was higher. I think it was 24%.
Still over 20%.
It was a fourth.
So, yeah, Todd, I am so smart. I am so smart.
SMRT.
I mean SMART.
Wow. Odd or even.
There's no odd or even. You're on the plot.
Oh, I get to go first?
Yeah.
Oh, great. Excellent. All right, let's get this underway. Okay. Yeah, this hand does not do enough. I just have too many utility creatures and not any that fills my graveyard. So I'm going to mulligan.
And my hand just isn't very explosive here. I think this would be a solid hand against a removal heavy deck. But in this matchup, I need something a little bit faster and something to go over the top. So let's take another question over there, Dan.
Yeah. Let's see. There was one that I wanted to bring up earlier. A lot of people commenting on your haircut, Corey.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I got back from Barcelona and I was just about to actually die from the heat. So I immediately said the first thing I do when I get back is shaving off the fro. So yeah. Thanks.
So,
beard is well trimmed. I like it.
Thank you.
First question here from Kaiser.
Figured I'd look nice for you.
Despite this being a modern day, Corey, how did you feel about your Dino deck that you played back in Philly that you won with?
Yeah, no, SCG Philly took that down with Jund Dinos. I still think it's insane, like especially because Scapeshift is probably becoming like the best deck right now, or at least close to. Having the Flame Sweeps in the board is a very key card, and it can just pressure. So actually, I think like the deck might be getting better. And it was already good for the weekend. So, yeah, Jund Dinos is still the real deal. That's for sure.
Yeah. Our archives for Philly should be up on our YouTube page, so go watch the semifinals game 3 with Corey. That should be a
man, our good friend at SCG, Darth Jace, is in the chat. I know it, and that is who I played in the semifinal. Be nice to the man. I already had to.
How can I not?
I already had to dagger him enough on my chat last night.
Here's 20 power.
21.
21?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, 21.
My mistake.
I kept and bottomed.
Well, I started with the hardened skills. I got excited, but then I saw no mana, so this one's going to go back to.
All right. All right.
More questions?
God, we're just blowing up today.
All right.
We got one more since Ross is mulliganing to oblivion.
From Hardened, what is your opinion on the new Twiddle Storm list that's brewing?
Shh, I don't want people to know.
You got to take this. I have no idea what it is.
So it's a modern deck that is using the new land. Was it Lotus Hex? Lotus? What's the land?
The Lotus from M20?
Yeah. Lotus Field. There we go. So remember what Lotus Field does?
It's like the land that
enters tapped. When it enters, you sacrifice 2 lands. Okay. It has hexproof, and it taps for 3 mana of any color.
Okay.
So it plays that and a bunch of twiddle effects to untap it to generate a bunch of mana.
Okay.
But the key is there's one twiddle effect that costs 2, but has splice onto arcane for 1.
Okay.
So it plays all the arcane spells. So it's got just a reach through miss, 1 blue draw card.
So you do it, splice it, and you get 6 mana for 3?
Yeah. Right? Ideas Unbound has arcane.
Oh.
And Peer Through Depths has arcane.
Okay.
So those are your main dig cards. You still play a couple 1-mana cantrips and then some other twiddle effects, and you just pass them and scrape shot them.
Interesting. And I mean, that's the type of deck that you need to combat Hogaak, a deck that you said earlier in the intro that doesn't interact very well. So decks like Cheerios, like Ad Nauseam, these kind of like over-the-top combo decks are actually usually very good against this. So maybe it has a future.
Yeah, so it
sounds absurd to me, but...
You play like land, cantrip a bunch of the first 2 turns, then turn 3, you float 2 mana, play your Lotus Field, sacrifice the 2 lands, and then use that 2 mana to untap it and try to go off on turn 3.
All right,
that's the idea.
Seems fair. Yeah, I'm more keen on 26 power on turn 2, but whatever. Teach his own. Yeah. All right, so I kept this one. This hand does something very specific, and this is a completely fine hand. Anytime that your hand contains what this is going to do on turn 2. If we take a look at my hand, then it is a keeper.
Okay. Well, I definitely want to keep. I need to turn on this Mox Opal quickly, so we're going to keep our hand that does that, and then maximizes the mana on turn 1.
Okay. So looking at my hand again here, you would think maybe this is the first land you would want to cast in the form of Blackleaf Cliff, but you got to make sure you do your numbers right on how many cards you're going to have in the graveyard. So it's almost always correct to start with one of these fetch lands. Yep. So I'm going to go to 17. And then it's going to be your turn.
Okay. Ooh.
Why do you top deck so well?
So, important to sequence. Not important in this specific spot, but good to develop habits of sequencing here so that they can't use a removal spell to stop us from turning on Mox Opal. So we'll start with the Welding Jar, play our Arcbound Worker.
Yeah, I don't have my forces in yet, bud.
Or actually, we should play Opal, then you play the Arcbound Worker.
Okay.
And then... Do I just get the scales down now? I probably just do that in case I draw a 2-mana play for next turn. So let's just play the scales.
Okay.
And pass the turn.
Alrighty. I'm going to untap. Another fetch land. Here, in my opinion, we only really have 1 play. Since this game does sometimes come down to damage, I'm just going to go for a basic swamp here. Since we do have a red source in our hand, I'm a little punished if I top deck Faithless Looting here because I would like to Faithless Looting before I play a land for Bloodghast, but I think it's worth the risk here. Wayfinder?
Yep.
All right, so 4, we'll see if we want to land. So, taking a land would... Okay, so I do not want to land because I want to delve away these 5 cards.
Oh, let's make 14 power. Turn 2.
And we'll bring back Vengevine, and we'll get on in there.
So Vengevine more important than a land?
Vengevine was more important than a land to me, yes, since I have 2.
Yeah. We'll take 4, go to 16.
All right, your turn. Now we're kind of out of gas, though, so we're not necessarily... Like, we could definitely lose this game. Of course, this is a great turn 2 for the Hogaak deck. Anytime you can get an 8/8 on turn 2, it's usually pretty good.
Yeah.
Who would have guessed?
So
let's get our fact checkers in here to confirm 8/8s for free are good. Do we? are they?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So I guess we just take this Arcbound Ravager.
That's probably good.
Help dominate the board. We drew a Citadel, which was a nice draw.
Okay.
So now we can play Ravager. It'll enter with an extra counter.
Okay.
It has a 2/2, and now each of these artifacts represents +2. That gets us to 8. This represents 4, actually. So we can get it to a 12/12. So that'll contain the Hogaak.
Seems good.
So we're stable on board.
Done?
Yep.
Stable. Nobody's ever stable against Hogaak. All right. Not a great draw on our part. Let's see. Well, I can attack with everything. It doesn't get me too far, though, like he said, because he could just block Hogaak here, Vengevine here. 2 would get through. I could sack Hogaak. But then I'm risking lethal on the way back, so yikes. But you do have to sacrifice a lot of your things. So that would shut off Mox Opal?
I would end up throwing these 3 away, I think.
Okay.
To get to a 10/10. I still have 2 mana.
Maybe that's okay.
Yeah. You would trade Hogaak for these 3 cards and 3 damage.
Yeah, I just don't think it's quite right yet. I wish I had some follow-up to just bring Hogaak back, but since I don't, I think I'm just going to play defensive and say go.
Yeah. You know, I have a hard time attacking here myself.
Yep.
So maybe not. Not the best of draws, but let's sack this Mox Opal.
I'm going to guess it's a Mox Opal.
Oh.
Okay.
So now, if I attack, I think the easiest thing to do is to just chump with Satyr Wayfinder. You're at 16.
16, yep.
So this is 4, this is 10, so I have 14 right now.
Yep.
So you could just take it.
I could.
And then, you know, attack like this. Maybe I block here, go to 8, and then I can't. I guess you would need to leave a blocker back.
Yeah, it's close.
Yeah. The question, I guess, is who is favored just sitting here in this top deck scenario?
Yeah, who knows? I didn't play this matchup a single time at MC4. But you know what I did play? 7 out of my 10 matches were Hogaak mirrors. And Leyline in the first game was good, if you can believe that.
10, 14, 15,
14 is
17.
Conveniently 1 auto from just triple blocking, because I would happily triple block if my creatures gain so much value in the yard, but...
So I think I want to wait until I at least force a block out of Corey.
All right, I'll go to 15.
You sure you want to crack that when you have Bloodghast in your deck?
Yeah, yep, because I have so many lands.
Yeah?
Yep. And I just want to thin. Like Wayfinder or a Stitcher Supplier here is just insane because it allows me to attack and force your board to be sacked a little bit. All right, that's not bad. That is not bad. Okay, so I'll get 1 in the yard. I'll play this. I could sacrifice this. Let's see here. So I could play a Sackline, get another card in my graveyard. I can then play this Vengevine. And can I do any other tricks? Like if I attack with Hogaak and it dies, yeah, I would have to get rid of too much of my graveyard here. But I think I am going to get busy here.
Importantly, you're now in lethal range from the Ravager. Because I have 14 on board.
Yep.
So
I will have to chump.
You're going to go to 12 here? Yeah.
Yep.
Get that Overgrown Tomb.
So I lose to a Ballista. I just have to accept that fact. There's just not much I can do here about that. Let's see. So if I attack with these and leave back Satyr Wayfinder, what happens? This goes here, this goes here. You take this. I sack to this. You would take 6 total. And then I'd have a chump blocker. Because you'd have to, I guess you wouldn't have to block with this. You could just sack 6, 8. Yeah, maybe I need to leave 2 blockers back. If I leave these 2 back, this dies. Yeah, gosh, I don't think I can attack either. All right, staring match.
It's a good one.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Definitely taking this hanger back. Maybe we can start trying to go to the air. So it's going to enter with 2. We can potentially get up to 4 immediately by sacking the Arcbound worker.
Seems good.
Modularing. And then maybe just sack here and get 4 Thopters, or, try to get bigger next turn. Next turn I can go up to 6.
Yep.
And that's, if I wait a turn with you at exactly 12, I think that's a wise decision. So pass.
All right. We really need some way to double creature here. That is okay, I guess. So, if I attacked and then played this, no, that's not great. 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
God, it's tough playing against this deck. It always has been tough playing against Hardened Scales. You can just, out of nowhere, they can just kill you so easily.
The synergies here are incredibly powerful. And, it's been almost 20 years since Arcbound Ravager was printed. That card's still busted.
It's still good. It's still good. Yeah, I don't think I really have too great of a play. Could attack with Hogaak and then bring Hogaak back, but having only 1 blocker against Ross's board just allows him to go wide and sack all his artifacts and modular onto something, so I'm just going to pass. I don't even know what I can draw to get out of this.
Yeah.
I mean, like a Stitcher supplier to just... Yeah, all right, well, now there's the clock.
Okay, you're up.
All right.
I don't need to do anything. I have drawn well here.
Well, I guess I could just hold this Lightning Axe ready for this Ink Moth. Yeah, I don't think there's too much I can truly do. All right, well, I guess we'll play a Karen Feeder.
Perfect.
Your turn.
Exactly what you needed. So let's put a counter on this. It gets 2 counters because of the scales.
Yep.
I'm going to sacrifice Arcbound Worker to Arcbound Ravager.
Yep.
And try to modular here.
Okay.
That'll going to get 2 counters. This will get 2.
Yep.
Then I will sack this here and get 6 little Nick Millers.
Sure.
Oh, you gave me regular Thopters, no Nick Millers?
There are Nick Millers there.
Oh, they're right here. Why do you confuse me by giving me both?
Well, we have to do both at some point.
Yeah, we might have too many.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, Nick's got to get his camera time. So
things are going well on this side.
Oh, that's good.
Just a backup.
So I have to be a little careful now because I only have the 1 blocker. Though this is only 11. If you sack a creature here, that's 12. But if you had another Vengevine, that would be exactly 16. But I have the Ink Moss that can also block. So maybe I want to leave back 1 Thopter because I can Pendlehaven one of them.
Sure.
No, let's just get in for 6.
All right, no blocks.
Pendlehaven one of them.
Okay.
You go to 5.
Sure.
You can go.
All right.
We got 3 blockers anyway. A single removal spell doesn't do anything against our Thopter army next turn.
Well, this is a little late, but I think we just have to go nuts here. So you could have 1 blocker with Ink Moth, or you could have 2 blockers. Okay. So you could put that in front of this here. I could play this Vengevine from my hand and attack 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I can deal you 10. That's not enough.
Yeah.
So I will have to go Satyr Wayfinder to try to find some more. 3, 4. Yeah, I'll just put this in play.
That doesn't even do it.
It doesn't. It doesn't. Yeah, I won't be able to attack for enough. I mean, like here, we can do some silly plays where we like sack Vengevine, sack Hogaak, bring back Hogaak, bring Vengevines, but it's just not enough. You know, I mean, this is cute plays to gain some value to maybe attack for more next turn, but when we're just facing down lethal here, and to be honest, you could have just killed me last turn.
I mean,
You could have gone for it, but yeah, sure. I could have had a Lightning Axe. But yeah, we have nothing here, so we're going to scoop this one up.
I don't think there's any reason for me to go for it in the face of Axe.
Yeah, like if it was game 2, maybe that's a reason to not go for it even more. But then I can draw some of these powerful hate cards that can really get me out of the game. But game one, I really don't have the tools to beat your board. You know, I if my Hogaak isn't big enough in any game, like I'm not going to be able to attack through.
That's your biggest thing. Yeah. Once you go bigger than Hogaak,
Now, to be fair, a way that I could have won that game early on is drawing that Seder Wayfinder a little bit earlier, because then I can attack in and replaying Hogaak after combat when it dies, and then getting back the Vengevines that died and stuff. That's how you win in those situations. Yeah. But I just didn't have the graveyard power. I was always 2 cards away in the graveyard from doing it, and I would have had to exile all my Vengevines, so it wasn't enough, you know.
You basically start giving your creatures all vigilance, and like you're kind of chump attacking them, but not really, because you're getting them back.
Exactly.
And you're like dealing small chunks in there that I can't really attack and whittle me down that way. But you need some cards in graveyard for that to work.
Exactly. If you're top decking like Karen Feeders and Grave Crawlers and stuff, like it's just not enough to get a critical mass of cards in your graveyard. And that is why some people chose to go with like the Hedron Crab versions, because your lands generate so much, or like the Dredger version where you dredge Thugs or you dredge Dark Blast and stuff. We chose to go with the Leyline of the Voids just because in open deck list it gets a lot better, and it's obviously a better game 1 card than Dredgers, but we do lose some value in matches like this.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Okay, do you want to go straight to sideboarding? You want to play another pre-board game?
It's up to you.
We are already in a bit. Let's go to sideboarding. So we're going to take a short break here while we get sideboards set up, and we will be back in just a minute. Don't go anywhere. And welcome back here to sideboarding with Hardened Scales against Hogaak. My side here is pretty easy. You know, we're definitely bringing in our 4 Grafdigger's Cage. That's the hate card of choice here. I think it's an underrated one in the matchup because it generally comes down fast enough to be effective. You're usually not doing anything super busted before turn 2. And that's important, whereas Recipe is sometimes too slow on the draw. And in our deck in particular, we can find it off of Ancient Stirrings, so that helps a lot and contributes towards Mox Opal. Sometimes you get to sacrifice it to Ravager, things like that. And I am bringing out some of the sort of slower, grindier cards that help this deck play through removal. Evolutionary Leap is the big one, just too slow for this matchup. And then Metallic Mimic Animation Module. This is sort of a combo. Module has a lot more general purpose application than Metallic Mimic does. And Mimic is just sort of a mopey 2-drop in a deck that already probably has too many 2-drops.
Sure.
It's one of the issues that the deck has faced since its inception. So cutting all the Mimics, trimming 1 module to make room for cages. I considered bringing in some claims to help against Leyline, but I don't think I can afford to be too reactive. I really need my synergies to come together. And you saw Ravager there was good enough even without modular, though I did win with Hangarack Walker. So maybe we'll see how game 2 and 2 goes. I might re-sideboard for game 3 if Leyline is a big issue, but I also don't think it's a card that Corey can aggressively mulligan for.
Definitely.
So it's not a card I'm going to be facing down that often. But we might cut all the modules and bring in a couple claims for game 3.
Yep. And before I talk about my side, I want to bring up one point about Grafdigger's Cage. Like, I think it is good, but I've had those games where I just go turn 1 Stitcher Supplier, put some cards in my graveyard, turn 2 Sackland, and just a Bloodghast or whatever, and just play Hogaak from my hand, And I feel like sometimes it's just insane, and sometimes it's bad. So it's so hard for me to value Grafdigger's Cage because it's not the Rest in Peace. It's not the Leyline that just shut you down. But, of course, it does still have applications here. So my sideboarding is definitely a lot more cards here. I'm bringing in, first of all, 3 Force of Vigor. It's just going to be the best card here. Being able to hit your Grafdigger's Cage or just anything you have in your deck, any of your enchantments, any of your artifacts. It is a good removal spell as well as an anti-hate card, which is just so huge in this matchup.
Yes, oftentimes it's handling that Ravager before it gets out of control.
Yeah, exactly.
It's going to be important.
Exactly. And then I'm bringing in more artifact and enchantment removal in the form of Nature's Claim and Abrupt Decay. And then Plague Engineer is a card I'm not insanely positive about. I think it's going to be good because it can shut down Thopters. It can shut down your Blinkmoth Nexuses from just being able to ever be animated. Yep. So I think that is pretty important. And then as far as sideboarding, I'm kind of taking out the cards that are similar to Ross here that are kind of grindier cards, like Cryptbreaker and Lotless Troll. Cryptbreaker in particular is not very good because these games are really fast and furious, and I don't really want to just be generating cards. But B, it gets ballisted very badly. You know, I mean, it's just an embarrassing thing if this gets ballisted when I try to cast it. Lotless Troll is another card that's very good against like Wrath of God decks or decks with a lot of removal, like Jund, blue-white control with Supreme Verdict instead of Terminus. But here, there's not a lot of removal that you're doing. You're not trying to interact with me, so I tend to side those out. And then it comes down to just kind of a split a little bit. I never like to take out like 3 of Bloodghast or 3 of Feeder or 3 Faithless Looting, because this deck still is an engine where you want to be drawing like one of the pieces here. So I really like to diversify the stuff I take out, and they seem like the correct thing. And then Lightning Axe is just card disadvantage for me when I'm bringing in so much better removal spells that aren't card disadvantage for me. So
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. This kind of sideboarding where it's like one across the board is something I did a lot with Dredge, similar deck, similar, you know, principle there. And I definitely agree. You want to keep the proportions of each of the pieces the same and make sure you draw them in the right ratios, but then just also have a removal spell or two.
Yeah. And with that being said, it's not always like that. I mean, like Bloodghasts are very good against like Phoenix, for instance, you know, so I take out a large amount of them against them. But in most matches, you want to just be diversifying a little bit and just taking out 1 or 2 of things and not really going, you know, down 4 of one card, you know? Yeah. Like Faithless Looting is one card that I take out a good chunk of times when my opponents have a lot of graveyard interaction, like against Jund, for instance, when they have ley lines and they're killing a lot of my stuff. I don't want to be disadvantaged in card, and Faithless Looting is card disadvantage, not card advantage. So
Yep. Any questions over there, Dan?
From Todd, how in the world did Hardened Scales place at the MC? Did they play 12 rounds of drafts?
Hardened Scales is good against Hogaak, plain and simple. Like, I really think it is. Sideboard, it gets worse, but...
Were you watching that game, Todd? I'm only at 5.
Yeah, you did.
5 cards. Didn't matter.
Yeah. But it's modern. You can win with anything.
Yeah. It does seem like you do need a bit of a galaxy brain to play Hardened Scales, though. It's like that.
It's not easy.
That decision tree you have is just, that's wide.
But it is another deck where you get into the routines and then it becomes a little bit more easy to do. So I'm on the play, right?
Yeah. Okay. If you want to be.
I do. Well, if we take a look at my hand, I have a lot of ways to interact here. And maybe that's enough. Like, I am going to be doing things, but it's a pretty weak hand outside of that. God, this one's close. So I will be killing your things. Often. I think it's just too bad. It's just too bad. We just don't do enough. We're just casting 1 mana 1/1s and 1 mana 2/1s for the foreseeable future.
This is also kind of a slow hand, but I've got some disruption, and I have one of my cards that actually works well with a slower hand. So I'm going to try this one.
Okay.
Though I'm not enthralled with it.
Okay.
All right. While Corey's shuffling up. From D. Flair. Do you think they should do a banned and restricted reset for Modern? So have obviously a banned list and then a restricted list of like only having 1 copy of a certain card in it.
Oh, that seems kind of sweet.
they definitely shouldn't do a restricted list.
You don't think so?
But as far as like a reset where they just release a new ban list and say this is what it is now, I mean,
that could be kind of cool.
It's a lot of changes all at once. I think Modern has been a really, really good format for the last 2 years, with the exception of the last 2 weeks. So I don't think we need to make huge sweeping changes. It's just that Hogaak is busted.
And don't we have a BNR announcement coming up in like sometime in August?
I believe it's right after Richmond, right?
It should be right after the next set is released. That's usually when they happen.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep this. This hand does not do what it wants to do, but instead of going to 5 here, I think it's my option. And we're just going to bottom this for now. Yeah, we'll bottom this and we'll try to ley line you here. Your turn. Definitely not a great hand and not ideal, but I think it's better than a random 5.
Animation module.
Okay. I will sack it insta. You still
Mox Opal.
Okay.
Graph Figures Cage.
Okay.
You can go.
All right, we'll sacrifice this. We'll get a land tapped here. Now, there's a certain select amount of cards that I really want to be drawing here, and it's like the form of Stitcher Supplier or Seder Wayfinder would be the best. That's kind of what's going to kickstart my engine here. But until then, we'll just play a slow game here. Usually not Hogaak's MO, but for now, I think
definitely
it's
something the deck is capable of.
Exactly.
The thing that makes decks like this broken isn't the generally, part of it is the ability to just make 12 power on turn 2 with some degree of consistency. But you also need to be able to beat the hate cards.
Exactly.
There's plenty of decks in Modern that can kill you on turn 2. Goryo's Vengeance decks, Pure Steel Paladin decks, but they generally can't beat Disruption reliably, so they're not very good.
And that's why this deck is good, because you're just in Jund colors, which Jund colors has a lot of answers to anything. Assassin's Trophy just says deal with anything, and I think that's what makes this deck good.
Arcbound Worker.
Okay. So, in response, I don't want you to start going off with modular, so maybe I should be trying to control that. But eventually I do have to deal with a cage. I'm going to decay something here. Now, do I want to slow you down or try to start getting stuff going for me? I don't think it's going to be that.
I figured it out for you.
You broke it?
Yeah. You seem like you were struggling with the decision.
I was. Thank you.
I thought I might help you out. I'm floating a man in response.
Are you? We're going to take the modular out here.
Okay. Playing your slow game.
Playing slow.
I got a 1-1.
You got a 1-1.
You're up.
All right.
I'll play a slow game right with you.
So that was a good draw.
No.
All right.
Tyler Durden 803 points out that the next BNR announcement is August 26th, right after GP Vegas.
That's fair.
So you got a month more of this.
Exactly. And I mean, that's a good reason. Like, people are saying, why would we play this deck if it's going to get banned? Because there's still tournaments for it. You need to know how to play against Hogaak, and you need to know the decks that are good against it. And you still need to know how to play Hogaak. All right. Let's see here. I think we can go with... we're going to sacrifice here.
Going to 16?
Yep. All right. And we're going to play Plague Engineer. Now, do I want to take down Constructs or Ink Moth? I think Ink Moth is just too important, so I'm going to try to control your Ink Moths here.
Blink Moth.
Yeah, name Blink Moth.
Yep.
Your turn.
That was a good start from Corey.
Yeah, not bad, not bad.
Ooh, that's a good draw. Let's play an Ancient Stirrings.
Okay. Whiff?
Did not whiff, but Throne of Geth is not the best.
No, not super powerful.
I
believe that's in your exile.
Yes. I will play the Throne of Geth.
Sure.
Let's play a Llanowar Reborn.
Okay.
This chooses any permanence, right?
I believe it does.
So I can proliferate onto my Llanowar Reborn, then graft onto multiple things.
Ooh.
Yeah, we're getting fancy now.
We're getting classy.
I was really hoping to be able to get one poison counter onto Corey, but this Plague Engineer is going
to... Done?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's mucking up the works.
It's straight mucking. All right, so we're going to start with Seder Wayfinder.
Yep.
Trigger. All right, so we got the Hogaak, and I'm going to bring this back. But we still, of course, cannot bring it back because of Grafdigger's Cage. Or can we? I'm going to take a pain.
So you're at 15. Well, I'm going to sack this and proliferate onto my creature on my land.
Okay. And then I'm going to bring back the Gaak. Gaak is back. Gaak attack. All right. And then I'll pass it to you.
Okay. We need to draw something good here pretty quickly.
Yeah, Plague Engineer's not bad. Just the comfort of knowing... Well, you can animate that Ink Moth Nexus. It's a legal play. But having the comfort of knowing that I'm not just going to get poison killed out of anywhere is reassuring against this deck, because Hardened Scales can just do it out of nowhere.
You can go.
All right. Okay. So we got 15 to 20, correct?
Yep.
Okay. I think we'll just get in there with Hogaak.
I will go to 12.
Okay. And... Oops. Gonna go with a Bloodghast.
Yep.
And then pass it to you. And we got one card in hand that's a pretty nice one. Be able to have a little insurance policy.
So question is, do I want to throw a card away to proliferate right now? What am I trying? I'm trying to probably just draw Arcbound Ravager.
But remember, Arcbound Ravager does not...
Yeah, but it just gets big.
It just gets big,
probably doesn't
that's
get
true.
big enough, though. Maybe I need Ballista?
Yeah, Ballista would get you for 2, and then you'd start proliferating onto it. I don't think that's a winning line.
Yeah, no, that lets me trade. I could trade the Ballista and the Worker for the Hogaak at that point.
Yeah, true. But Hogaak's going to be coming back pretty soon. You know, I'll be able to put a land into play here, so I'm going to be drawing 2 cards. I already have 3 here, so I only need 4 cards in the graveyard just to bring it back.
I think I need to draw Walking Ballista, and if I need to draw Walking Ballista, I'd actually rather cast it as a 3/3 next turn.
Sure. Yep.
So let's not sack anything.
No, it doesn't make sense to sack anything quite yet.
Okay, we've got another Blink Moth and now Hardened skills.
Okay.
You're up.
All right, end step, I'm going to draw a card.
Yep.
Untap.
Oh, that's actually a little frustrating.
Yeah.
Now I'm only going to get this to an, I guess it would be a 7/7.
8,
So
9,
that's
7,
fine.
12, 13. All right, I believe you have to let this resolve or you just die.
Yeah, that is true. I'll go to 16.
Okay. All right, then I will get in there. Don't think there's a reason to bring anything back. Yep. Put you to 3. We'll do some crawling and play land. Your turn.
Don't think I have any outs at this point.
I don't think so. Guess who's back?
Yeah,
Hogaak's back.
Kept a 4-lander, and it was with 2 Nexuses. So the
And
Plague
you
Engineer,
had disruption and stuff, so it's definitely a keep.
the Plague Engineer was really, really good. I was relying on these to play through removal. So removal into Engineer, into Hogaak was about the nightmare scenario.
Yep.
And Ravager, while quite good, is going to be a little bit short.
Yeah.
Last turn, it would have been nice.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I had the claim for that last turn, and I mean, the hand I had to keep was 3 Abrupt Decays, Leyline, 3 lands. You know, I mean, it's not great, but it disrupts, it stops you a little bit. So, and then I just hope to draw something like Satyr Wayfinder, which I did. So, all right.
I'm dead.
Deadsies. Yeah, this deck's powerful, that's for sure.
Okay, game 3.
Game 3.
Do I want to bring in any answers to Leyline?
Yeah, that's close. I don't think I would make any changes, play or draw on my end. I could just bring in more artifact enchantment removal, but you got to be careful about how much you bring in because you need to have a functioning deck, you know? And I think my main choice here is between Leyline or Assassin's Trophies. And I like having just some for sure way to kind of stop your modular. But I think there is an argument to be made where I just want to go max spot removal. Of course, that's much worse on turn 0 with putting a Leyline into play when I have to commit that much mana. So that's why I chose Leyline. But I'm open to being wrong about that.
I like Leyline. I don't like being just all removal spells.
Exactly. Then I'm just Jund, right? I might as well get some Ren and 6, play some Blood Red Elves, Cascade into Hogaak. Wait. It's free, right? It's a free spell. That works.
Yeah.
Got any questions while we're shuffling up for this third and final game?
So we got a bit of a conversation going on in chat, and this seems like a bit of the can of worms because it's all talking about banning Hogaak.
Sure.
So we'll play a little bit of speculation here.
Sure.
Let's say 4 weeks from now, Hogaak is banned. Would Bridge from Below be unbanned from the list as a result?
No chance. Like what it takes to unban cards is there's got to be a need to. And like Bridge from Below was already kind of an iffy card, and this deck just threw it over the edge. I don't see any point to bring that back and not bring back like Stoneforge Mystics, for instance. What we will see is if this deck does get banned, we're gonna see Jund be insane. We're gonna see like Blue-White Control probably get better. And, you know, I mean, there's going to be a lot of snowball effects if this deck goes, and who knows if it's going to create a more healthy format, because Modern is a self-correcting format. Maybe it would be okay if you leave Hogaak around. I kind of doubt it, but you never know.
Yeah.
Modern normally corrects itself.
We'll see over the next month. I doubt it, and I think we'll see Hogaak get banned at the next opportunity, and then we'll just really see what the major effects of Modern Horizons are. Is this Urza deck really good?
And it is.
How good is Judge with Brennan 6? How good is Giver of Runes? We haven't really seen that one because Giver of Runes is not a good card when you have to beat Hogaak.
Yeah.
When you have to beat removal spells, then it gets a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
How good is Unsettled Mariner and Humans? A lot of different things. So we'll enter an unknown stage because right now Hogaak has been outshining a lot of what's going on in Modern Horizons. And we'll really unleash the full power of the set once this deck is gone.
Yeah, that was the other question that was brought up, is that Modern Horizons seems like a great set with a lot of awesome cards. Bringing back Lava Dart, I think, was awesome.
Yeah.
And all the Horizon lands as a result. But Hogaak just seems to be just...
Yeah, your baby will get better.
Front and center.
Your baby, is it Phoenix, will definitely come back if Hogaak goes down.
I'm a little skeptical,
Yeah.
If you read my article from today on StarCityGames.com, you can find out why. But it'll definitely have a shot.
Sure. I think I'm going to keep this. If we take a look at my hand, it is not super explosive, but we have some great cards here. I do think this hand is close, but we're going to try it.
Okay. I have a Hardened Scales, and my deck is called Hardened Scales. So I'm going to keep and cast Hardened Scales.
Smart.
Yes. Sometimes Magic's not that deep.
Sometimes it is. Okay, 2-1. Savannah Lions, your turn.
Getting big. I will play a 2/2 Hangerback Walker.
Okay.
You can go.
Okay, well, I'm going to force these. What I'm going to pitch is still to be determined. Oh, it exiles, buddy. Oh, wait. No, it doesn't.
No.
Oh, you exile the green card. Okay, maybe I actually don't want to do that. I don't want you to have 2 1s. Okay, never mind.
Scratch that.
Scratch that. Yeah, okay, that's not great.
I've made a grave mistake.
I've made a grave error. I really thought that exiled. Yeah, maybe my hand is actually pretty bad then. We're going to take 2.
18.
And we'll attack.
I'm at 18.
All right. Now, do we want to... Yeah, I think I'm just going to say go. I don't have a Force of Vigor in hand.
I will play a Hardened Scales.
Because your deck is called Hardened Scales.
Yes.
That's a fact. Okay.
Pass the turn.
Well, don't think I need to use my force quite yet. So we're just going to Abrupt Decay.
Okay, I will... So I get an extra counter on the Hangerback by doing this now, but by waiting, I prevent the Gravecrawler from attacking. So it's a counter on a Hangerback versus 2 damage. I'm going to go for the counter.
I think I might respond.
Okay. So I'm activating in response.
Yeah. I mean, this Hangerback Walker is just going to get out of hand for me. I think I have to try to control a little bit here. We're going to force the other 2 things.
Okay. So I'm going to get 2 Thopters.
Yep.
Everything's going to die.
You're up. I will attack.
Now, I'm assuming this is coming back if I block, so I'll just take 2, go to 16.
Okay. Now we're kind of on the plan of just attacking with little creatures for now, which obviously isn't the greatest. We'll take 2 and play another Gravecrawler.
So both at 16?
Yep, your turn. So now I disrupted as much as I could, but if Ross just rebuilds pretty strongly, I might be in trouble.
I believe my deck is called Hardened Scales.
Yeah.
So I'm going to cast the Hardened Scales.
This boy is scaling.
Yes, one scaly boy.
Any 2-drop here is pretty frightening from me.
Yeah, I have all of them.
Okay, okay. I don't feel great about my chances then.
I believe I'm just going to get the Ballista down since it's the most defensive.
Seems great.
And then get in for 2.
All right, 14.
You can go.
Okay. We need a great draw here. That's not really it. We'll attack.
Okay, I'm just gonna ping down the Bloodghast.
Okay.
See if Corey has a land. I'll go to 12.
All right, you go to 12, and we do not have a land, but we do have a couple restocks.
More 2-1s.
More 2-1s. This is a Savannah Lion deck.
Yes, I believe my deck's called Savannah Lions.
Yeah,
we'll cast
Savannah Lions
Savannah
have
Lions.
some extra text, but that's all we're doing.
Are you dead? I think you are.
Probably.
2, 4,
I'm
6,
not blocking.
8. Yeah. Yeah, you are not blocking. Cannot block.
Nope.
So I have an Arcbound Ravager.
Okay.
And now I can sack both of these. These each generate
For
2.
4 counters, yeah.
So that goes up to 6.
Mm-hmm.
Animate the Blinkmoth Nexus.
Up to 8.
Sack that. Goes to 8. Then
Sack it. 9 counters onto that.
Extra 1. Attack you for 10.
I'll take it.
Brings you to 4. And remove 4 counters.
That's fair. Yeah, we noticed from my hand, I had some pieces of good interaction, but I just did not have a way to actually fuel a good Hogaak draw. So I probably should have mulliganed this realistically. There were certain draws that I was gonna beat of yours, maybe mostly disruptive draws from your end. I was gonna like have good hands against, but maybe this just wasn't quite good enough.
Instead, I had 3 Hardened Scales.
Yeah,
My deck. I believe it's called Hardened Scales.
Can we check the facts one more time?
Yes, it's called Hardened Scales.
All right. Match 1 going to you. Do we have another time? You got the clock, man.
No, we're just about on time.
Okay,
so
perfect.
Right on schedule. We're professionals. That's how we do.
We're professionals. Yeah, we timed this.
Okay. Debrief. This is a pretty impressive showing from the Hardened Scales deck.
Oh, it seems good.
Yeah. Maybe I should have mulliganed that hand in game 2, but games 1 and 3 felt pretty easy.
Yep.
And that is usually a good sign when you're winning a lot of easy games. It usually means that the factors that are favoring you in the matchup are structural.
Yep.
Or the thing might generally when you have 2 decks that are low on interaction, it's just who's going bigger, whose synergies are more powerful. And I think the Hardened Scales deck is a lot less consistent than the Hogaak deck.
Agreed.
But you're going to lose the games that you hit your fail rate. You're going to win a huge majority of the games where you just do your thing.
Yeah, and I think one very key factor here is we both have a key card. Mine is Hogaak, yours is Hardened Scales. But the fact that you have like Ancient Stirrings that cannot find it, and then you can just normally draw to Hardened Scales. I'm flipping over my deck to find it. So I have so many more looks to try to find my key card, where you're just playing fair magic and you're having to draw it off the top of the deck. But your deck is doing things that I can't interact with very well, especially on game 1. So.
Yeah, and then the London Mulligan certainly helps out with the consistency of this deck. So I'm sure that was a big factor in the decision to play Hardened Scales, and it paid off really well. So
one thing, sorry to interrupt you, but Channel Fireball played Hardened Scales in London and their win rate, it had the best win rate of the tournament in London. But Hogaak was the new toy, and they realized how broken it was, just like our team did as well. But that's not to say that the deck is no longer good. We definitely played Hardened Scales with some anticipation to play it because it still has these factors that make it a good deck.
Yeah, just incredibly powerful synergies. Welding Jar and Arcbound Ravager give you a lot of built-in resilience to removal, along with having a ton of creature lands. Some lists play some number of Horizon Canopies or different Horizon lands so that you don't flood as often. You get things like Pendelhaven, a lot of use out of your mana base, which helps stop you from flooding, which is really important in removal heavy matchups. And then modular overall, when they kill even if you don't have Ravager, if they kill your Arcbound Worker, you get to move the counters around. You've got Walking Ballista as a mana sink to prevent flooding. You got Hangerback Walker resilient to removal. So when all these factors and all these synergy pieces in your deck also have some relevance in the late game, animation module, another mana sink, another way to be resilient to removal. So there's a lot of things that are that go in this deck's favor that make it not a glass cannon. Instead, a deck that can try to kill you on turn 3, and if you stop it, can still win on turn 10.
Yeah. And I think one of the biggest factors that you didn't mention is Hardened Scales is just plain and simple hard to play against. Like, it's doing so many things, you don't know exactly which angle you should play around. So experts that play Hardened Scales a lot are going to find these windows where people don't exactly respect, the one Ravager that you're untapping. Like, there's a lot of error that can be made across the table from the deck that gives this deck a huge advantage.
Yeah.
So.
I don't think I've ever seen a deck that can go from as small a base as Hardened Scales does, look completely non-threatening, to killing you.
Have you played Storm?
I mean, combo decks like that, but you expect it out of those decks. Like they're just playing their lands, and on like turn 3 or 4 that they can go. This is a deck that is winning on the battlefield. Yeah. So as far as decks that are winning on the battlefield, to go from basically nothing to killing you, I don't think I've ever seen a deck that does it like Hardened Scales does.
It's quite impressive. I have to agree.
Sometimes you have to give them 4 extra turns because you're just scared. Like, I'm dead if they have a Hardened Scales, or I'm dead if they have a Ravager. And you know that, and you have to leave back a blocker, and they don't have it.
Yeah.
But instead, you give them 3 turns, and they draw into some sequence of cards that lets them get back in the game.
Yeah.
And then it gets in your head, and you say, okay, now I'll be a little bit more aggressive. And that's the time they have it. And you got to pick and choose your spots. Oftentimes you'll figure out which is like the 55% or 60%, and you keep picking that, but that only wins you 55, 60% of the games from a spot where it looks like you're really far ahead.
Yeah, and I mean, you get to also just hold combo pieces in your hand, like hold the Ballista, hold the Ravager, and then as long as you just have an Inkmoth Nexus, which is a land that you normally just want to play on turns 1 through 3 anyways, that you just have that kill out of nowhere. So I think this deck's the real deal, and if you want to beat Hogaak in the next couple of weeks, sleeve this up.
Yeah. I was very impressed. So.
If you're as lucky as Ross, if you're as lucky as 3 times Hardened Scales Ross Merriam over here.
The one time I didn't have Hardened Scales and I didn't mulligan, that was the game I lost. So just mulligan into your Hardened Scales and everything will be fine.
Coincidence? I think not.
Okay. We are pushing it, so we're going to take our 5-minute break, and we're going to come back for match 2, where Corey's going to continue to play Hogaak, see if he can put a win on the board. And I am going to be playing
Urza. Which is supposedly another very good matchup. BBD played this deck at the MC, and he played it because of this matchup. So let's see what we can do.
Yep, we'll be back in 5 minutes. Don't go anywhere.
See ya.